Welcome, guys, back to the Real Play Podcast. This is Ciera,
Hi, it's Ebony.
and we are here today to celebrate our 1 year anniversary.
1 year. Wow.
1 year. So, I have an Android phone, use Google Photos, and Google actually sent me pictures from our first recording that we did,
Mm-hmm.
and that was actually on May 15th. Is when we did the first recording, but we released our very first episode. Did I say May 15th? Did I?
I think you did.
I don't know. March 15th. My apologies, y'all. And while I'm apologizing, this is the real play. This is real life. Right now, right outside my door, they are doing construction and it just started. And so if you hear a little bit of something, just ignore that. I apologize. But I'm too excited about it being our 1 year anniversary to be like, hey, let's not record because they outside doing work. I'm gonna let them do them and we gonna do me. Or I'm gonna do me. But anyways, March 15th, we recorded our first episode in Baltimore in the studio with Dr. Joy Stevens.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about mental health, dealing with the COVID pandemic had just started. And then we released our first episode on Tuesday, March 20th, 2020. So here we are on March 20th, 2021,
And 21.
a whole year later, and we are still doing our thing. We still got our podcast going. We still are getting new listeners every episode. We're getting a lot of interaction from our listeners. Of course, we would want more. We always want more. But we're going to do this episode and kind of talk about some of the questions that we received from our listeners. We'll answer your guys' questions and then we'll have our own questions for each other at the end. And that'll be it. But again, thank you guys for sticking with us for a year.
Yeah.
And if you haven't been here for a year and you just, found us, thank you for still coming back. And if this is your very first episode, thank you for still listening to this point at this point. And you're going to enjoy this episode and you'll enjoy all the rest that we have. I mean, you might not enjoy every single thing we talk about because we understand we're not going to reach everybody on everything. Just like a
Right.
preacher. Sometimes you be in church and he ain't talking to you. He talking to your pewmate. But the next week he got you. So that's how we are. Stay with us. Anyways, Ebony, did you want to start off with the questions you received, or you want me to start off with a couple that I got?
I can start off with the questions. We might have the same questions. And then we can also talk about our experience for the year too. I feel like we've done that before, but we can. So the first question I have is, did y'all meet any goals that y'all set out at the beginning of the podcast?
Okay. Oh, go ahead.
So goals. This is very interesting because we've talked about how we start the podcast in another episode, so I won't go into that. But honestly, we didn't have intentionally a ton of goals, right? Because we wanted to not scare ourselves from starting the podcast. Our goal, I'm trying to think of any clear, written, I don't think, so one goal I know, we kind of differed a little bit in this goal. Like I wanted to make sure we were teaching and learning from our listeners, as well as teaching our listeners something that was worth them listening. That's one thing.
So these,
I'm gonna take that question as though it's a personal question to each of us. So with the learning portion, because I know that was what you were really big on, do you feel as though you met that goal?
I think we've exceeded the goal. I mean, I think with the fibroids, I keep saying fibroids all incorrectly. I don't know. I know how to say this word, but fibroids. I think that we did that last night. That was a great episode. I think the infertility one was great. I think we incorporate in all of our episodes something. So that I'm happy with.
Okay. So for me, my
Goal wasn't necessarily like to teach, as you said. I did want us to use our real life experiences to kind of tell people our side, and maybe they can learn from that. And I do feel like I have always been very open and transparent in everything that I've talked about on here. So in that regard, I do feel like I met the goal. But another one of my goals was to also make sure that we're showing it from a Christian woman's perspective, whatever we're talking about. I think we have met that goal. I don't think that um I have consistently brought that part into the podcast all the time because, you know, I'm Christian, but I'm a millennial, I'm young, I'm doing my thing, but I think that sometimes I don't incorporate that as much.
Mm.
So I do want to make sure that, yeah, this is really me. This is how I am, and I'm still trying to walk the walk, talk the talk, do everything like that. But I don't always say that. So if you don't hear me say it, you may not even realize it's a thing, which is cool. But I feel like I should bring that more into the limelight.
Yeah, I think we both. I think it's okay to be multifaceted, right? We like different things, and you won't always show up the same way every single day. But we've done a lot of Christian-based things on our channel, so we might not do it every single episode. But if you go back, we did the uncover the veil or whatever that
We
episode
did
was
the
called.
dating as
As Christian dating as millennials.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, in general, like, we might have pockets of it, but for me,
Mhm.
I don't always say it in every episode, or I don't always bring it up. And I feel like because I wanted, my whole goal of when I wanted to start the podcast is because of everything that happened. I was like, you know what, I want to start a YouTube page, and I want
Mhm.
to make it more of a, like, a Bible study type young
You did.
woman.
Mhm.
And that's not always in it, and I didn't want the podcast to be a Bible study, but I did want it for people who are Christian women who are still, you know, making mistakes and living their life. I want them to know that it's okay, and we don't have to be thumping through the Bible 24/7, knowing every verse. We don't have to be at church 7 days a week to still be a Christian
Absolutely.
woman. So I want to make sure that that part is known. Like, if I'm talking about something, just know that I'm still doing my stuff on the side. I'm still praying, I'm still fasting, I'm still doing all that, but I want that to all be seen as to show that the full person. So that's what I mean. Not saying that the podcast itself didn't have aspects of it. It's just I felt like my reason for starting it, I haven't done it as much as I would have wanted to, as my
Okay.
original goal.
Okay. And I'm trying to think of some common goals that we had for the podcast. I think
Uh,
overall we wanted to definitely have fun and let our voices be heard and
be real.
be real. We have stuff to say. I mean, I think we both have done a good job, you know, sharing experiences, being open, and just being, you know, present.
Mm. Okay. Yeah,
So,
I agree.
do you want to give a question or do you want me to go to the next one?
We can mix it up. Okay.
Okay.
So the question I got is, are you single? Are you single? It's actually a three-parter. So we'll start with, are you single? And then we'll go to the next question, which, if you listen to our podcast, then you should already know we are.
Yes.
We are single because guess what? There's no ring on our finger. We're not married. So we are single. Um,
Did I do the right finger? This is why I'm not married.
did you do
I
the
think
left hand? As long as you did the
I,
left hand.
I didn't.
Oh, you did the right hand?
I
Oh.
did. I just picked up whatever finger. See, not married, obviously.
Okay. And then the next question is, how do you feel about long distance relationships?
I wouldn't mind a long distance, depending on the distance now, but I wouldn't mind a long distance relationship. You know, you would prefer it to be close,
Mm-hmm.
but I think with a long distance relationship, and I think we've answered this question on the podcast too before, but you would have to establish trust with that person because that's the main reason why they don't work, because you can be here and you can also be having a whole situation wherever you live, and I would have no idea. So I think it's okay. I also would have to determine the circumstances and the person and the trust level.
Right. Well, me, if you know me, I talk to people all around.
The world. So I am okay with talking to someone as far as, like, the initial part of starting a relationship. But when it comes to being in a full-fledged relationship, I would prefer for us to be in the same state, the same city, I want to go on dates. I want to cuddle on Sundays after church. I want to, cook dinner together or watch you cook breakfast. Like, I want to do that. I don't want everything to be virtual and FaceTime and messages and text. I don't want to do that. So,
And with long distance too, you would eventually have to move either
One of you gonna have to move.
one. Yeah, most of the time it's the woman, unfortunately.
Well, it depends on who making the
most
most.
money. Because if I'm making the
Okay,
most
come.
money, you need to come move over here. Because I ain't leaving my job unless I can be a stay-at-home wife. Like we
All right, come
like
on,
we've
money.
already talked about plenty of times. I don't want to work, but yeah, and I did talk to somebody before where we had that conversation like, okay, so if this gets really serious, are you willing to move here? And I really didn't want to move there, but the circumstances was he had children, and I knew he already told me like he wouldn't move here because then he would be far away from his kids. So I had to really do some soul searching, like, would I do that? And I would have moved if it got serious to that point. I would have moved closer to him. But overall, I can deal with the initial starting of a relationship being long distance, but I really prefer us to be able to go out on dates and be one-on-one with each other on a normal basis. So, and the very last part of the three-parter, like I said, it was a three-parter, was do you like to fly?
Yes. So yes.
Okay. Yeah, some people don't like to fly. So I like to fly. I'm upset that 2020 done took that away from me. My last flight, I was flying back from LA on January 14th, 2020, and I have not been on a plane since then. So
Whoever this person is, sound like they trying to fly somebody out. Somebody trying to get flown out.
he might be trying to fly somebody. I don't know. I'm just asking the questions that were posed back a few weeks ago when we asked for questions. So
All right.
so okay, your turn.
Okay, flued out. All right.
I have never been flued out, actually, now that I think about it. So does that entail like being flued out for real? For real? Does that mean you're buying the ticket, you're paying for the hotel, you're paying for all the food? Like, if that's the case, we can get that flued out going on. But I don't know. I've gone on trips with people before that I was in a relationship with, and we kind of, split the cost on certain things. But if I'm flued out, I feel like that's like you paying for everything, right?
Yeah, and sometimes that's the case if you just go out
Go out
on
where?
vacation with the person.
Yeah, but like if we go on a vacation, I don't want to do like a drive vacation. I want like a flight involved. Like I don't want to be too close. So I just know like when they're always talking about these flued out situations on the memes and stuff, I'll be thinking to myself, that would be nice.
That would be, but to get flued out, you gotta do a little something. In most cases, not all cases, but
Well, if anybody trying to flued me out,
flued me out.
just we'll talk
Get
about
blown
that.
out.
DM me at Raven with 2 N's.
Right, where we
Raven with
going?
love. I would really love to go back to Jamaica because I was only there for a weekend and I didn't get to go to Dunn's River Falls, and I had bought the shoes and everything so that I could go on the rocks and not slip, and never got to go. So
Tell them they have to write down the criteria too. So where you going, what all are you paying for? That's important information to know.
Right. And I got my own coins, but I need to know what you're willing to do. So I need to know what I need to bring with me.
Amen.
So we do like to fly. International, I need where's my passport right over there. I need some more stamps. We need to get this going.
So that answers that question. And now we'll go on to the other questions.
I feel like these are all similar. What is next for the podcast?
For the podcast specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So we can go ahead and be honest. Like, we haven't had the conversation of what's next for the podcast, so we can't really tell you what's next. But what I can say is, I think what we would want to do, and what all podcasters want to do, is to grow their fan base. They want to make sure that what they're saying is valid to the people that are listening, and eventually get some sponsorships and make some money, because we don't make any money.
No.
But I think that would be the next thing, and maybe even like do some type of paraphernalia. I know when we first started, you were talking about a lip gloss, or it was something.
I think, yeah. I think I said, oh, we were supposed to do the lip gloss. Yeah, that was like the first episode we talked about. But before that, I think we talked about mugs or sweatshirts or something. We did.
Yeah,
So long
so I
ago.
mean
That could be something that we can consider in the future. But yeah, we haven't talked about it yet. We do need to, circle back and figure out what we want to do next. So thanks for the question. Thanks for getting those gears grinding for us to see what's next. But I would assume it would be increasing the fan base. Maybe doing some public speaking, collaborating with more podcasts. There is a podcast that has reached out, wants to collaborate. So we want to do some more of those. We've done it twice
Yeah.
with podcasts. So, do some more of those.
And then too, once you hit a year is around the time you need to start assessing stuff anyway. I mean, I think I was gonna say not along the lines, but I think we did a great job being that, we started at the beginning of the pandemic and still going through some. Yeah.
we've been 100% pandemic.
Podcast, the pandemic podcast. That should be our name. But yeah.
I don't want no parts of pandemic.
Right. So there's that. Let me see. I took the questions down. The next few questions, I told him there would be nothing off limits. We told them that.
Yes, ma'am.
But
You don't want to ask the question?
He did kind of
go a little off limits, but I will ask one of the questions, which I know that you are not going to be able to answer, but I will go ahead and ask it because, like I said,
I'm curious
nothing
about
is
the
off
other one
limits.
too. It was too far.
Huh?
It was too far.
I actually didn't really understand. I told him, like, I don't think I've done it.
So I won't be able to
Maybe.
answer that either.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to answer it, and I wouldn't have been able to answer it either. Like, because the answer would have been nothing.
Oh,
But
it's a sexual question. Okay.
yeah, so I'm like, no. But this question is: are women more sexual than men, but also get more emotionally attached than men do? Or do you think it depends on how good the sex is?
I mean, I can't answer obviously from experience, but just talking to people, there's plenty of women who can detach emotions when it comes to sex. I think it depends on the level of connection that they have with you, on whether they get attached or not. And I think that's for anybody. I mean, from what I've heard and had conversations about.
Yeah, so when it comes to, are men or women more sexual, I actually think that it's probably really 50-50. Men get more of the backlash because they always want to act on it, but that doesn't mean that women, we don't feel the same thing, especially around the time of the month or like right before, right after. You'd be like, ooh, what are these feelings? Why do I feel like that? What is this? Okay, everything is working. But we can be aroused and walk around and nobody knows. But guys can't. Like, they just gotta, they try. They want to try some things. So
Or do you think it's more women and then we just have this whole stigma, very taboo? It's like, you can't act on it because if you do X, Y, and Z, then you're considered this. I mean, we're all human, so I agree with your 50-50. Like,
I think we both are very sexual. We're humans. We're very sexual in general. Women, it may be more taboo if women are actually talking about it and actually engaging in it. But when it comes to who is more sexual, I think we're on the same level. It's just we have a little more self-control and keeping it internal, and our bodies are not going to show it as much. So we can kind of, get past that. And then the other part about do we get more attached? I think that some men get just as attached as women.
Yeah.
I think men are almost, if not the same level of emotion, they're very, very close to being just as emotional as women. So
they just might not outwardly say it, but they might do other things that you're kind of, you'll notice.
Yeah. So I think that overall, women will be more likely to tell you they're attached after sex than a man would be, but he may possibly act different. He won't say the words, I'm attached to you and you're my girl and don't be out here doing this and that. And he might not do all that, but he might be like, oh, are you going to come over today? Or you're not? Oh. and be sad. Like, you know what I'm saying? He might show it in a different way. So I think we're even. I just think women are more, they communicate it more because we use our words.
Yeah.
And the other question,
I'm
do you really want to hear
water
the
and coffee? If you guys like why she got a mug and then she got this. This is coffee. It is like 1 o'clock, but this is water. Yes, I want to hear the other question. And also I want to say why I have a slight break in the thing. If you hear a low hum, it's probably my computer. I hear it in the headphones, but I'm not sure if it's like anyone else can hear it.
Oh, I can't hear it. So if the listeners can hear it, like she said, like I said earlier, like when they were using the jackhammer outside. So I was like, let me go ahead and let them know, like, this is what's happening. If you hear it in the background, we are real. Okay. But the next question, and I even had to ask, I was like, but I don't get it. I think the answer is no. Nothing I haven't done, but and I don't know why these are all sexually related. It is coming from the same listener. But it said, what's the most you or a friend has done for some good sex from a male? And I had to get more into, because I had to ask him because I really didn't understand the question.
So they probably are coming from, Jasmine Sullivan has that whole album out called Hotels, and on it, there's a song where I think we talked about this on the podcast before, where the girl is just saying what she will do, just because it's bomb or whatever. And so I think that's along the lines that he's saying.
So what he said specifically was, the most that he has done was he would drive 2 hours at 2 o'clock in the morning after working all day. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, nothing's off limits. I can go ahead and answer that, but I don't think I've done it.
2 hours. That ain't nothing crazy.
At 2 o'clock in the morning. That's crazy.
Well, you are crazy, sir, because that's dangerous. You could have, people are really,
Yeah, like you work all day, so you tired. Then it's 2 o'clock in the morning, so it's from 2 to 4. You in a car driving
just to get some.
Can she not meet you halfway?
I don't know. I mean, apparently it was worth it. I don't know. I didn't ask him any more questions. I was just like, okay, I did say nothing's off limits, so.
I just kind of want to know if it was worth it on her end, because if so, she might have been driving the extra hour.
Oh. She could have driven an hour and made it just one for each of them.
If it's worth it for her,
That is very true. That's very true. But at the same time,
but
I don't like going out late. Like, even when I was dating somebody, he'd be like, come over. And it's like 10 or 11 and I didn't like where he lived. I'm like, no, I'm a female. You have to understand, like, if I don't have to be out at night, I'm not going to do it. It's just not safe. Not stopping at a gas station, stopping at a light. Anything can happen. No. So if she made him drive, that's probably because he wanted to. And I would have been like, okay, I'll be asleep till you get here. I'm not waiting up. But I can't think of anything. I haven't done anything crazy. So yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of anything a friend has told me that was like extra crazy. Not that I would say it on the podcast anyway. I can't think of anything.
Yeah, so sorry we couldn't answer
that question, but we answered your other one, so we did what we said we were gonna do, and we did at least voice it out. But listeners, if you want to answer the question, feel free. Let us know, what's the craziest thing you've done. Have you driven 2 hours at 2 o'clock in the morning to be with somebody? And maybe that doesn't necessarily mean you had to go to have sex, but maybe you just went to be with them. I don't know. Let us know. Hit us up.
I'm nosy. I want to know.
She wants to know. Ebony says she wants to know. So tell us. We want to know. Okay. So what's the next question you have?
I feel like this is along the same lines of what I already asked, and it's what's your goals, but this might mean personal.
Okay, we can answer it on a personal level.
I don't know if it's personal or the podcast, because we've already said that.
Well, since we've already answered it on the podcast level, we can answer it as though it's personal. And if they want to hear it, they'll be happy. If they don't want to hear it, oh well, now you know what our personal goals are. So did you want to start off?
Yeah, mine mostly is this is going to sound cliche, I know, is to be happy. With this pandemic, guys, I realized that, working hard and not having a life to live is not the business. So my overall goal is to mostly walk in my purpose and provide something of substance. And so I think I talked about me working on this blog before in the podcast. It still ain't out yet because I'm still working and trying to figure out. I don't want to just do anything. But one of my goals would be to do something in terms of literacy, just because I think reading is important and I love reading. And I don't want to sit here and say my 5-year plan is this, my 10-year plan is this. I don't know. Life happens. So my overall goal is to experience life and actually live. So that's all I got for right now. Come back at the end of the year, something like that. I have a totally different space.
Which reminds me, I cannot find my vision board that I made earlier in the year. But my goals, of course, are to be happy, like you said, but more detailed goals would be I do want to figure out a second stream of income. I did have a business that I was doing a couple of years ago, but I just kind of didn't lose the love for it, but I lost the time for it. And maybe the passion went with that. So I do want to find a second stream of income, whether it's investing or having a product or a service or something that I provide. So I really do want to do that this year and like really kick it off. And I've got a lot of different ideas. I got a lot of friends I've been talking to. So hopefully that'll happen. And I'll let y'all know what it is when we launch or when I launch. What other goals do I have? Oh, I do want to start I'm thinking I want to start a YouTube page, but we will see. I have a friend who hasn't started his yet, so I'm not gonna call him out. But if he's listening, you know who I'm talking to. We keep saying we're gonna do this. You're supposed to do yours on the. I don't even want to say what his is a good one. His topic is really good, and it's towards men, and I really like it, and I think it's something that is really needed. And so we were trying to push each other, but then we're like, so did you do yours yet? Did you do your? And we both like, oh, we busy, but we gonna do it. So I'm thinking I want to start the YouTube page. And those are my two main goals: make some more money and get my voice out there and do what I feel the passion is drawing me to do, and possibly even switch, careers, try something different, because I've been doing the same thing for 11 years. So I'm not at a midlife crisis, but you start doing new things. I'm living in a new space. Got some new things that I've purchased. So it's almost like a refresh is happening. So
you just actually gave me an idea, because I haven't started my blog yet, but I have like videos sitting there. I just might release them on YouTube and then do my blog a couple of months. Okay. So my blog is sitting there. Okay. It's just
release it. That's the same thing we did with this podcast. Like, I don't have any. I know what direction I originally wanted my YouTube page to be, but I'm not really sure that's the same direction that I want. So I don't have anything recorded. I don't have anything written down. I have nothing. But for you, like, if you have it, just like we did with this podcast, we're like, oh yeah, we need to do this. We need to do this by that certain date. But they're like, you know what? Let's just release it, because you can always do something to make it better with the next release. True. It don't have to be perfect. And that's what we had to tell ourselves then. So I had to sit down.
There's beauty in doing something with someone else and bouncing off ideas off of someone else and that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you're right. I'll get to it. You're right.
Yes. And I'm gonna get on my friend too. I'm gonna get on him. Mm-hmm. You listening? I ain't gonna call you out, but I know you probably listening. We gonna get it together in 2020. Oh, and 2021. And yeah. I want to my goal is to improve my cooking skills.
All right. You should try HelloFresh. I mean, it's boxed, but you want from scratch. Okay.
Yeah, I want it from scratch. I perfected my lemon pound cake last summer, and I've already got the butter right now is softening, because I'm gonna make some s'more brownies and some chocolate chip and pecan cookies for my friend. I gotta mail them to him in New York. I've been supposed to give these to him forever. All right. My baking skills are on point, but I want to work better on my cooking skills, because when I'm a housewife, listen, the atmosphere, y'all.
Right, you better keep saying that every podcast. You should be like housewife.
Housewife.
That's all you need to say.
But yeah, and I don't want to be a housewife in
That's a
case you
good
haven't.
T-shirt, actually.
Housewife life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm not saying this because I'm gonna sit there and do nothing. Like, I do plan on contributing to the household financially, emotionally, spiritually, all of that. But I just don't like working for the man. I don't like getting up.
You know what's so funny is I think I asked, I might have said this before, but I asked like, what was your dream job?
I don't have one.
Legit, no, most people said housewife.
Really?
Yes.
So that I wouldn't consider that a job. But okay, I get it. I get what they're saying though, because I would always for the longest time be like, what is my dream job? Which it really at first it was to work for
The NBA, for the NBA Cares program, because I absolutely
Mhm.
love basketball. My first love. Played basketball from 4th grade to 11th grade. Then I switched over to cheerleading, tore my ACL, and the career was over. But beside the point, I love basketball and I love community service. And NBA Cares is you're pairing the stars with the community.
Oh,
You're
nice.
doing the community service and you're planning all of that out. So I was like, that's the perfect job for me. It's my two passions. But then I was like, it's so hard to get in the NBA, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm like, okay, well, as a backup, what would be my dream job? And I cannot figure one out because I'm not supposed to work. Okay. I've got other plans in my mind of things that I could be doing that can be streams of income that doesn't necessarily mean going to a nine to five. And I
Yeah.
know being an entrepreneur, it is a lot of work. It's not a 9 to 5, it's a 24/7 type of situation. But if it's something that I love and I'm passionate about, I can see myself doing that. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My mother, I can't even tell you how many different businesses she has run and is running like constantly. So I get it. I see the lifestyle, I've been part of it. I'm ready. Somebody, I'm here. Okay.
Listen, I probably said this the day one in the podcast. I don't subscribe to always working on 9 to 5. That's like it's great to have that income and be able to support, but to always have to go clock in. Like as much as hard as I work for somebody else, I can work that much harder for myself.
exactly.
So,
That's why.
and make myself more money because you're not gonna pay me for my overtime. You're not gonna pay me for my.
Who don't pay you for your overtime?
I don't get paid for overtime at my job.
What? Is that against the? Are you sure?
No,
Ain't that against the law?
No, I'm positive. What you being salary, you don't get extra.
Yes, you do, honey. We get overtime up at my job. You either can.
Um you can request to have overtime or you can request to have credit time or comp time, which is hours. And you can get that amount of time, you can have it off later. I used to be like, when I first started, I was like, yeah, give me overtime. I want my check to look nice. Then I realized they tax that overtime
Mm-hmm.
so much, it's not worth it. I rather get the hours. You give me that comp or credit time, and then I can take it off, and it's worth more than the money. So you better. They
No, I
cannot.
don't get overtime.
That's
But
raggedy.
what I started doing is saying you're gonna give me my day back. You're gonna give me some of my time back. I might not get all of it all the time. So like coming up, I have to work overnights. I don't know how I'm gonna do it for 2 weeks. And so, but that's 12, 13 hours that I have to work. That's not normal hours. So
So they only pay you for 8 of those hours?
mm-hmm. And I can only I put in my time when I do my time sheet. I can only do my time sheet for 8 hours.
And what you do with the rest of it?
I don't account for it.
Girl, you need a
New job, because that's not, you cannot give free work. You can't. That's crazy. You
Mm-hmm.
talk to HR. Something ain't right there. Someone is doing something. Because how is this? Because you're in the private industry, right? How are they able to benefit from you and not compensate you for it? I know it is not allowed in the government. That's not allowed. You can't even, like, for lunch. They had to switch the lunches because
Child,
Muslims,
what's lunch?
Muslims, they Muslims. I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. I apologize, y'all.
You good.
But
I'm saying
they
you good. Like I, yeah.
like they during Ramadan, like they don't eat. Like when they're
Mm-hmm.
fasting, before they would have to take that time for lunch, like that 30 minutes, but they weren't eating. They were still working, so the government was getting free work. They
Mm.
can't do that. That is against the law. So they had to switch it so that you can opt out of lunch, specifically for people who, for religious reasons, aren't eating and therefore they're working and the government's getting free work. So yeah, even to 30 minutes, they changed that for that. You got to go to your HR because that's crazy.
I need to check something.
I would never work somewhere where you're expecting me to work for more hours than what you're going to pay me. I go to work to get paid.
Right.
They tried it, girl. They tried it. Tell me, send me your information. Let me check your contract because you know I do contracts. Something ain't right. They tried it.
I gotta do better, Ciera.
You gotta do something because that ain't no. And then overnight, no.
Anybody that know me, how long we've been? I am not a night person. Like I'd go to sleep at a drop of a dime. Like you text me at 9 o'clock, I most likely sleep. 10 o'clock, I most likely sleep. So think about me working overnight. I'll let y'all know.
That even sounds like shift work, like a premium. Like,
right. And then how am I gonna eat? Because you know how I eat during. I said, how am I gonna eat? I only eat during certain times.
Well, you ain't gonna eat while you at work. I guess you have to eat when you sleep. Eat when you sleep. But anyway, so
that's funny.
That answers their question. I hope we did a little extra more than what we thought about. Are there any more questions?
No, that's all I had on my list.
That's all that I had on my list as well. So before we close this out, I just thought to myself, like, out of the whole entire season 1 and so far halfway through, well, not halfway through, but into season 2, what was your favorite episode that we've done and why?
Oh my God, favorite episode. Can I do episodes? Episodes. Okay. So I really think I enjoy the episode. Okay, so I'm gonna start off on season 1. Have a couple. Dang it. So one of my favorite episodes is actually the one that we recorded with Unsolicited Views. And I think it's because we had fun, like engaging in conversation. If I have to think about that, a lot of the podcasts that I actually enjoy is the one that we kind of laughed the whole time recording.
Right.
So that one was fun for me. If I had to say information-wise, one that I like is probably the infertility one. And I feel like I'm missing an episode that I actually liked during season 1, but let me just give you those two.
Okay. And then even season 2, like
not specific to seasons, but do you have anything in season 2 that was a favorite, or most of your favorites are in season 1?
I think the sex therapist episode that's coming out was a good one, and I actually enjoyed the one with y'all probably was like, y'all put out one too many episodes, but I did enjoy the one with City of Savages. I think I'm pretty sure I'm missing an episode that was my favorite, but I'll go with those since I'm being put on the spot. I need to go look up our episodes to be like, no, I actually like that one because we've done so many.
We have. I think out of all of the episodes, and sadly enough, it didn't get a lot of like listeners or feedback, but my favorite episode was on clean beauty because I felt like I learned a lot on that about the products that we're using, what's in them, how to even look them up to see if they're good or bad for you. So I felt like that's still my favorite episode. So y'all, if y'all have not listened to it, go back and listen to it. Season 1, it's called Clean Beauty. And they even talk about a website that you can go to and you can type in the products that you're using and see, like, does it have certain chemicals that are bad for you, toxic to you and stuff like that. So go back and listen to Clean Beauty. That is my absolute favorite episode. I just wish that we had more listeners.
It's very important. You know what, too? They Isabel and Patrick saw me we were all at a mutual, well, they invited me to like a quick little house party. It wasn't a lot of people. And then they were like, yeah, we're supposed to be on another episode. When is that coming? I'm like, oh, let me get with Ciera and then we'll see if we can get you guys on another episode.
What are they gonna talk about? Clean beauty again?
Probably. I don't know.
I know. I didn't know they were coming back on.
That's why I'm like, what are we? Did they do?
I think we said something after the last episode that we'll have them come on and talk about something else. But I can brainstorm.
Okay. So yeah, that's my favorite episode of all times. I also, I enjoy the ones where we do have a male perspective, a male guest on there giving their input especially on dating and stuff like that, just to hear what they're thinking, because we think one thing, they think something completely different. So the ones that we had Lawrence come on, and we had Wesley come on talking about guys. The guy is the prize. Are y'all though? Okay. So that one was good. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. And I just think that we are we're always open for anybody who has a suggestion on something that they want us to talk about.
Or a person you want us to bring on.
You can let us know. We'll definitely try to reach out. We've tried to reach out to some people who haven't got any bites back, but that's okay. Like, it doesn't stop us from doing what we're doing and having the fun that we're having, and, letting our voices be heard. And yeah. So those, I think, that's my favorite episode. So then this just made me think about something else. What is something that you or somebody that you would really want to talk to or discuss, a topic? Like,
I think I've told you something that I want to discuss, but we haven't talked about it yet. We still got to get someone. I forgot. Shoot. I also recently, and maybe I can get Isabel to come on and talk about this, but me and her, we were talking about just being feminine and some of the characteristics and traits and different thinking that you might have as an independent alpha female versus someone who might be independent as well, but more I'm going to use this for the lack of a better word, submissive. So it's always an interesting topic to see people discuss. So that, and what's something else I would want? Trying to think of something that I don't know. You go. I'm trying to think of. It's another topic that I have, but I forgot.
Well, one of the main topics that I do want to talk about is women health, sexual health. I do want to have a OBGYN come on. I would love Dr. Jackie Walters to come on to talk about her book, The Queen V. That would just be great, because I think there's a lot of stuff about our bodies that changes over the years. Like, my body's different at 35 than it was at 30, than it was at 25. And I know a lot of our listeners are female. So I really want to, since sometimes we want to do educational, we want to have fun on some episodes, and we want to be educational. And I think that's like my goal, is to have somebody come on who can tell us about our bodies and who can answer questions and who can just be an informative a guest. So that's my thing I want to.
I love Twitter. And so I think there's a couple of people on Twitter that I would like to invite on, and as well as you probably follow her page, but XO Nicole, I love her story. And I would want her to come on based on like telling us about like how she is able to transition so many times, like through different life experiences. I think that's something that's not easily done and not talked about a lot. Because I think a lot of times people go in their little dark space and then come out different. And then you're like, dang, they went through all of that. I had no idea. And then how did you get to the other side where you're like, okay, well, I did have that business. I don't want that anymore. Because sometimes we are stuck in our identity. So that's mostly what I would want to have someone come on and talk about, the differences.
Okay. Sounds good. So y'all, you may see those episodes coming in the future, whether it's season 2 or season 25. Who knows what the future holds, but we do thank you for being listeners, for taking the time to listen to this whole episode as we celebrate 1 year.
Oh my God.
We should have had a cupcake.
Confetti.
Yeah, throw some confetti. No, because we would have to clean that up. Wish we just had a cupcake. I don't have any sweets in here. So I got to really make these cookies for my friend, because then I can eat one tonight and celebrate these cookies and these brownies for him. But yeah, so I don't have any other questions to ask you directly on this podcast.
I do have one question. What's your favorite thing about having a podcast?
My favorite thing about having a podcast is just being able to voice my opinion and, kind of have people give their opinion back. So like you have your circle of friends that you talk to
Mm-hmm.
all the time, or you have coworkers that you talk to on Mondays through Fridays, but you reach
Mm-hmm.
a whole different crowd of people when you have a podcast, and collaborating with new people, with other
Mm-hmm.
podcasts, or just learning different things from different people and hearing how they live. So I love reality TV shows because I like to see how other people live. And I think the part about this podcast is we can have people on here talking about their relationships, how they met. We can have people on here talking about fibroids and the business that they started on how to help women with fibroids, or sex therapists, or very we have the lady who's left her government job to be a makeup artist. We can
Mm-hmm.
have showing entrepreneurship. We can rep our people on our things. So this is it's a hoodie from What Next, and what's important about them is like what's next. Like you've got to this point, you're doing this. What's the next
Mm-hmm.
thing? Because we're always striving. So I think that the podcast helps us. It's a platform to really meet people, learn things, get your opinion out. And even sometimes you give your opinion, but someone gives it back. And
Mm-hmm.
you're like, oh, I never
Different
thought of it that
perspectives.
way. And
Yep.
then it changes your own thinking. So it's a whole learning aspect of being a podcaster. It's a lot of work
Mm-hmm.
because I got two whole podcasts, y'all. But it's learned. Like I even learned how to I learned how to edit. I learned how to do different things because it's something I wouldn't have done before. And so it's making me a more well-rounded person, and the skills that you learn in podcasting and talking and conversing with other people are skills that you can use in your regular life at work. So we're we're making ourselves better. We're learning more. We're becoming more well-rounded individuals, and I love it. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's me. What's your answer, girl?
No, it's the same thing. I mean, I said it before. I definitely learned how and on the fly edit, how to um, do videos for YouTube, how to do social media. I mean, you name it. And then also being able to kind of like, I feel like the more we talk, the more I can freely express myself on the podcast to other people, to be able to think on the fly a lot. I mean, when we first started, oh my God, we had paper, like we would like come up with topics. And then eventually we got to the point where we don't have notes. Anything you see us say on the podcast, 9 times out of 10, other than us reading those questions, we don't have anything written down. We just come to the podcast. And I think that's a skill set in itself.
Mm.
I've learned a ton. I feel like I've grown within the past year. I'm excited to see what happens this year, and um, what we can do to better challenge ourselves and grow. It's a good thing. Like you said, it's a lot of work, but and it's a great outlet from the world and the 9 to 5 and other stuff. I feel like the podcast in itself is their own little mini world
Mm-hmm.
too. And
Yeah.
getting to know people and our listeners, and when we have those virtual
Events.
events, I love that because we actually get to talk to people and have fun and let loose for hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. But
However long until
Till I say,
yeah.
y'all, I'm getting off because I want to eat this pizza. Can we go now? But yeah, we will definitely consider doing some more live events. We've done the Zoom events. We tried at first to do the
Mhm.
IG live, but it wasn't as interactive as we wanted it to be. So we did switch over to Zoom, and yeah, we have them
I
on
think it's
there.
better now. Somebody said that you can do multiple people now
Oh, okay.
or
Well, we
something like
can we
that.
can do that, but we usually have a lot of people. They
Hmm.
do have rooms I see on Instagram, so we can
Okay.
always try that and have a room and see if everybody can come in there and talk like we used to. But it's been a while since we did that. I think the last one was the 90s event, I want to say.
Yes.
Might have been, or the pajama party. I don't remember. But anyways, either way, they're fun. So yeah, those are cool too. So getting just know people, and some of those people you'll never meet in person.
Hmm.
um a fair amount of them I already knew because they were my friends, but I wouldn't meet your friends that came on, or some
Hmm.
of the other listeners that neither of us knew. We wouldn't have met them had it not been for the podcast. So yep,
And
expanding your network.
one last thing, guys, if you are listening to this, can you uh, leave us a comment, rate us, and leave us a comment if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast or anything like that. And tell us who you are and where you're from. We want to get to know you a little bit. And if you're looking at this via YouTube, can you please do the same thing? Drop us a comment, make sure you subscribe, and tell us a little bit about you.
Right.
Talk to us. We talk back. You can ask us something about ourselves if you want to know that too. So yeah.
Yeah, it's like I said, building our network.
You
Mhm.
never know. You never know. So, yeah, thank you guys for listening in on our 1 year anniversary
Yes,
episode. We appreciate you more than you know because you guys keep us going. We're not doing this just to talk to ourselves.
absolutely not.
But I would do it just talk to myself, but I'm not. I like to hear myself talk sometimes. But yeah, but we really are. We are here for you. Like we said, we interact with you as much as we can. We hope that you feel comfortable interacting with us. You see who we are. You see our faces, you hear our voices every week. We're normal people.
I
What's
did
that?
want to say one thing. What is some challenges with podcasts? I did want to talk about that really quickly. One thing is sometimes I feel like we are stuck sometimes we don't come back to certain topics. And so my perspective may have changed on that topic, but we don't have like where I can comment and tell people like, I don't even think that way no more. Or, um, there was something else that I had that is a little bit difficult about the podcast. Um, I can't think of
I will
right
say
now.
the beauty of that, that's something we can do though. So if you had one perspective a year ago and it's changed, there's nothing stopping us because it's our podcast from having another episode and you saying that, like, hey, back in the day I thought X, but now I think Y. Like we can always throw that into any episode.
Yeah, I just got to
So
remember. I'm just saying, like, when people go back, because it's like a stagnant thing, and they go back and they're like, but then she's doing this over here. I always say, don't hold me to with something I said. I think that right now.
mm,
Or, and also with video. The hard part of transitioning to video is watching myself every time we film. Not that like I don't, trying to make sure my hair is done. My hair's short right now. I cut it. It's super, super short. Look, so you won't see my hair like this
mm-hmm.
uh, for a while. I won't be wearing it out. But just saying like things like that is kind of hard to do on camera and podcast and keep up
Right.
with everything.
Yeah, because now that we've had video, I feel like let me put some lip gloss on before we go on there.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like someone just knocked on my door.
Oh, you
Did
got
you
a
hear that?
present, a prize? I didn't because I took off the headphones, so you might want to go.
Y'all, no, we don't do that. I
Oh,
don't have a
child, yeah, God,
I don't have a
yeah, you don't have
doorbell.
a. Oh, you need one of those ring
Oh,
things.
it's right here. I got my Google Nest. It's right here. The electrician is coming in to put it in on Monday, but I was like, what is that?
So
Maybe,
what does
you
the
know what?
Google Nest do?
It's the same thing as a ring,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's the Google version. So yeah, I'm getting that installed because everything I have is Google. I'm gonna get the thermostat and I'm gonna get
Oh
everything
yeah, I
else.
have that's a lifesaver. That Nest, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
when I'm out somewhere and it gets cold here, I'm like, oh, let me turn on my heat before I get home.
Yeah. So I'm gonna get that, but I don't have a doorbell. So I heard the knock. I was like, but I am supposed to get some stuff from Amazon. So maybe that's Amazon. But usually Amazon doesn't knock. They just like drop and go.
Do you have a Alexa?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. Because it dings like if the package comes. That's how I know I got packages. It'll like make this noise.
Mm-mm. No, I don't have anything. So yes, I will be checking that when we get done with this episode. As you were talking, I was like, hold up now. Don't like that. That's why I like parking in my garage because then you don't know if I'm home or not. But anyways, sorry listeners, we got off a little bit. Once again, this is real life. This is what's happening. I don't even know
Yes.
if y'all heard the knock on the mic or not, but I definitely heard it. So we'll check to see what's happening outside. And I hope y'all have a good day. Thank you again for joining us for this 1 year anniversary episode. I can't believe we're at
Yes.
1 year. And we'll just see where we go from here.
Yes, I'm
Like it says,
excited.
what's next? What's next?
All
Oh, and
right.
I think it was really funny too that I had this hoodie on. It's Saturday. I had the hoodie on because I'm just chilling, recording today. and then you popped up on your screen with
Oh yeah.
and I was like, wait a minute. So
We both had on black yesterday,
did not
recording last
coordinate
night.
any of that. That's just how it happened. So anyways, thank y'all again. I think it's the last time I'll say thank y'all. We're done. But yes, thanks. We will see y'all
In the
All
next
right.
episode.
All right.
All right, bye.
More to come. Bye.
I'm ready for brunch.